Hello everyone, welcome to Sharmit. In this session, we are going to talk about another very important topic related to HTML, which is label element. Yes, a label element is an element which we mostly use in terms of in order to associate some text to a particular input field. Okay, so by the end of this session, we will learn what is label tag, why do we need it, what are those scenarios in project where we are supposed to utilize label tag, and in the end we will also compare the output and we'll find out what are the benefits of using label tag. But before we start, I would like to recommend you to please go and check out the previously released sessions first, because they all are connected with each other. Okay, so the entire playlist are in proper sequence and sync, so if you follow them sequentially, then it would be very easy for you to understand the ongoing topic. Okay, because for now we are just focusing on the label thing, but prior to that we already discussed how many types of input fields are there, what are field set, and many other things. Okay, so yeah, and another very important thing is question. In every session there is one question for all of you, so you are supposed to answer the question, and those who will provide the consistent correct answer will be spotlighted in the upcoming session. So it will not only help you to recall the things that we have discussed, but it will also help others who don't know the answer. Okay, so for today we have one question: why do we use nested field set in element in HTML? Most of you already know the answer of this question, so you can just directly share the answer in the comment section. But in case if you don't know the answer, then you can refer the previous session, because there we have already discussed this in a detailed manner. Alright, so I think now we are good to start with the today's session. So topic is label in HTML forms. So for that, you can see here I've just created the simple basic HTML page where I have just put one heading, H1 HTML by Sharmit, and if we see the output of this code, so I will save it, refresh my browser, so you can see it is coming like this, HTML by Sharmit. Now as we are going to as we are learning everything in terms of form, so let's create one form here. So for that I will just write one tag here, which is form tag. In form tag we do need one button to submit the form, so let's add one basic button. Here we will write submit as a name, and the type of the button is also submit. Okay, fine. So we have added this thing. Now what we are going to do, we are going to refresh the web browser, so it is coming like this. But at the moment if you try to click on the submit button, it will not do anything. Why? Because so far we have not specified any action tag, right? Action attribute, and without action page it will not take you to any page. So let's add the action attribute here. So in form tag we will write here action, and here we will write tspgm 10.html. let's save this code and refresh your browser. So you can see this time if I click on submit button, it will take me to this tspgm 10.html. Now what is this tspgm 10.html? It is nothing but a simple web page which we have already created in one of our previous session. So we are doing nothing, but we are just instructing the HTML form to collect all the data from this main page and then transfer it to this tspgm 10.html. Now if you are using the simple by default get method, it will show you output in this URL as well, the data which we captured. But if you are using post method, means by default method is get method, but if you are using post method, it will capture the data but it will not show in the URL section. Now some of you might be thinking like it is not showing anything. Yes, because we have not captured anything yet, right? So to capture data we will use input fields, and this time we will also associate those input field with the label tag. So let's see how we'll use it. Okay, so for that firstly we will add one heading here. So let's write h2. So there are mainly two methods through which we can utilize this label tag. I'll show you both methods. The first method is highly recommended, and the second one is less preferable and less recommended. But we'll see both methods. Okay, so here we will write label element in HTML forms method 1. Okay, method 1. So we just added one first method as a heading. Now it's time to add one input field. So if I add the normal input field here, it would come like this. Here we will specify the type as text, name as maybe you can give any name, for example username. Okay, yeah, so that's it. Now if I save it and refresh it, so let's say if we are providing this kind of thing, so in this situation user will not able to understand what we are supposed to enter here, and what, because we are not using any labeling here. Okay, so some of you might be thinking like we can use placeholder here, so it will indicate that we are supposed to enter it. Yes it is, but sometime we need to keep a label of each field. So in this situation we will use key in label tag. So let's see how we will do it. So to use it, you can simply add the label tag, and in label tag we will write the for attribute. This is very important attribute for label tag, because this is the only thing that will help us to link both input field and label tag. So here we will put the value as username, and to associate it with input field we will use ID here. Okay, so ID, and in ID we will write username. Make sure you are providing same values in for an ID field, otherwise it will not work for you. And then now if I save it and refresh my browser, you will see nothing is happening. Why? In fact we are not able to see anything here because we have not put any text here. So to put the text, you will write here inside this label element user name. Okay, so this is just for the user purpose and this is for the backend purpose. So if I save this code and refresh it, you will see now the username field is coming here. So what are the advantage of this label? So if let's say if user is not supposed to, if user is not sure where to key in the value, so what he or she can do, he can click on this username and it will highlight that particular input field where user are supposed to fill the data for this particular element. Okay, so you can see it is showing everything here. Alright, so now what we will do, we will try to add few more labels so that we can find out like if it is highlighting only one field or both fields. So for that we will write here, in for we will write email. Okay, let's add one field for email, and here also we will put email as a label text. Likewise we will change type also, we need to set email, and don't get confused between type and everything because these things we have already discussed. Name you can keep anything, but it's better to keep the same thing so that you can easily remember what you have set. And here in ID also I'll put email. So if I save this thing and refresh my browser, you will see we have two input field with two label. So if I click on this label email, it will highlight only that field where we are supposed to provide the email. Okay, so this is the advantage of label tag. Now if you put some data here, for example ABC, and in email abc@gmail.com, and if I click on the submit button, it will take my data to this tspgm10.html, and you can see the output in the URL as well, because by default method is get method. But if you are using post method, it will capture the data, it will transfer the data, but it will not be displayed in this URL section. Clear? Fine. So this is the first method through which we can utilize this label element. Now we will see the second method. So for second method we will copy this thing so that we can save the time and just edit it for our requirement. So here I am writing label element in HTML forms method 2. So in this method what we can do, we can simply add one label and we will give for here for attribute maybe for mobile number. Okay, so we will write here mobile number, and this part we will expand this part, and here itself we will write mobile number colon, and after that we can keep the input field in this label element itself. Okay, and let's add type as number, then name as mobile number, and here we will put the ID because ID is very important. Let's say if we don't put ID, let's see what will happen. So if I refresh my browser and put number here, for example 123, so it is taking the number, right? But if you click on this label, it will not highlight the field. Why? Because we have not set ID yet. So let's add the ID, and ID would be the same as for, otherwise it will not work. So if I save it, refresh it, now if I click on this mobile number, it is highlighting the field. Okay, but in case, let's say if you by mistakenly put different thing in for an ID, so it will not work. So if I try to click on this, it is not highlighting the things, right? Okay, so make sure that whenever you are using this label, always make sure to keep the same value in for an ID. Okay, so I think now this is clear how we can utilize the label element with input fields to associate the things. Mostly label is used when we are using checkbox, radio button, because there we are not supposed to use placeholder, right? And it is bit difficult for user to find out like where they are supposed to click for what value. So to associate the things, we will use label like we did today. Okay, so I hope this session is clear to all of you, and now I request you to please do share your knowledge in the comment section for this question, and those who will provide the consistent correct answer will be spotlighted in the upcoming session. Okay, so yeah, that's all for today. In the next session we will discuss few more things. So thank you for watching Tech Sharmit.